David Copenhaver.
Rob Chalice, Beech Grove City Schools.
Now, David, since you could not attend the January meeting, I do want to give you the opportunity to introduce yourself to RDC. At January, we each spoke briefly, biography, you know, how long we've been from Beech Grove, what do we do as a normal job. Whatever comment you would like to make right now, I'd like to be able to extend that to you.
Oh, thank you. My name is David Copenhaver. I was born and raised here in Beech Grove at corner of 14th and Cleveland back in the days of the hospital. And went to Beech Grove High School, graduated class of 1981. After that, I went to Indiana University for my undergraduate degree, studied telecommunications there, and started a small business while I was in college as a video producer, and grew that company called Spectrum Productions for a number of years. And eventually that kind of took me into medical videos and video conferencing and telemedicine, and eventually went out to California and ran one of the largest video conferencing companies in the country. Built a lot of large telemedicine networks, video arraignment networks, and a lot of work with the military. Eventually got my master's degree and worked with U.S. Special Forces quite a bit, building intelligence, surveillance, reconnaissance tools. Then decided to come back to Beech Grove and spend time with family and trying to help Beech Grove continue to grow. And so I feel blessed to be here, and thank you for that moment to my background.
I also would be remiss is that David is also our vice president of the RDC for this year. Okay, I will also note that our secretary, Andrew Noon, is not able to be here this evening. So we will try and take the best notes that we can, and there'll obviously be playback for this video so he can produce the minutes for next month. I just know that he's under the weather, so I do hope and wish him a speedy recovery. But with that, we'll go into the approval of the minutes for January 15th. Since they just got to us this evening, they're a little bit short, so I'm going to read it totally into the record so we all know what's on here, and that we all know that it's been right understood. After I get done reading them, I'll ask if there's any corrections that need to be made. We'll make them just so we can get them to Andrew and then take a vote on approving these. So the minutes are the RDC January 18, 2024 minutes. The meeting of January 18, 2024 was the first meeting of the RDC for the 2024 calendar year. Previous last meeting of the RDC took place on November 16, 2023. The members of the RDC for the 2023 period included President Matthew Kochever, Vice President Andrew Noon, Secretary Kathy Chappell, Member Liz Lamping, Member Lynn Weathers, and School Board Representative Rob Chalice. January 18, 2024, the RDC regular meeting took place on the second floor of the Beech Grove City Hall. The meeting was called to order at 7 p.m. The first action undertaken at the January 18, 2024 meeting was an introduction of the members of the 2024 RDC. The RDC has several new members replacing other members from the previous year. The current RDC consists of the following individuals: Matthew Kochever, Phil Davis, Jenny Wenzel, Andrew Noon, and David Copenhaver. The members, Phil Davis and David Copenhaver, were appointed by the City Council. Members Matthew Kochever, Andrew Noon, and Jenny Wenzel were appointed by the Mayor. At the meeting, the RDC held an election of the RDC officers. Up for election were the positions of President, Vice President, and Secretary. There was a motion to nominate Matthew Kochever as President made by Andrew Noon. Said motion was seconded by Jenny Wenzel. The motion was approved by unanimous vote of the members present. A motion was made to nominate David Copenhaver as Vice President of the RDC by Matthew Kochever. Said motion was seconded by Andrew Noon. The motion for nominating David Copenhaver as Vice President was approved by unanimous vote of the members present. A motion was made by Matthew Kochever to nominate Andrew Noon as Secretary of the RDC. Phil Davis seconded the motion. The motion was unanimously approved by the members present, and Andrew Noon was elected Secretary of the RDC. The next order of business was the approval of minutes from the last meeting on November 16, 2023. Said minutes were received by the members of the RDC. A motion to approve said minutes was made by Andrew Noon, seconded by Matthew Kochever. Said minutes were approved by unanimous vote of the members present. The RDC then considered approval of the docket and allowance of accounts payable. The claims submitted for payment to the RDC consisted of professional services rendered on behalf of the RDC, a copy of the allowance of accounts payable vouchers, and supporting documentation is attached here too as Exhibit A. Said documentation was reviewed by the members of the RDC. Andrew Noon made a motion to approve the allowance of accounts payable vouchers. Said motion was seconded by Matthew Kochevar. The motion was approved by unanimous vote of the RDC members present. Next page. The next item of business was an address to the RDC by our newly elected mayor, Jim Kaufman. Jim thanked our previous members who served under the 2023 RDC and also stated they look forward to working with the new members of the RDC on improving the city and enticing additional businesses to come into the city. The mayor also gave a brief update on his intention to work towards the next phase of the Hornet Greenway and working with the RDC towards future projects. A motion to adjourn the January 18, 2024 RDC meeting was made by Andrew Noon and seconded by Jenny Wenzel. Said RDC meeting was adjourned at 7:24 p.m. The following individuals were present for the RDC meeting: Matthew Kochevar, President; Andrew Noon, Secretary; Phil Davis, Member; Jenny Wenzel, Member; Rob Chalice, School Board Representative. David Copenhaver, Vice President, was unable to attend. Respectfully submitted, Andrew Noon, Secretary, and the attachment here is the allowance of accounts payable vouchers from January with the accounts payable register showing each of the lines that were paid. Heard the minutes. Is there any omissions, corrections that need to be noted for the Secretary?
I have one request. I was only able to watch on video last week. I just a few hours out of surgery. So I didn't catch it, but I wanted to see if we could get the written speech that the mayor gave that would show what his intentions are for the future. If we could just add that to it for the details of what are his intentions, so we could just add it to the minutes.
Oh, basically transcribe what he said the other day?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, he's probably got it written down already.
Okay. I will ask you to see what he has and about getting these attached to those minutes that become publicly available. So I have that noted. And or if anyone else wants to follow up with the mayor, please do. But I plan on doing that. I have that written down here. Any other notations, corrections?
No.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve the minutes? Well, I'm going to say as presented because we want the actual document, even though I read it in full. So I'll say as presented.
And
of course, with the
proposed.
caveat that we can get, if the mayor has that, we will get that attached to that once we get that from him.
Okay.
So there is that motion.
Now I'll make that motion to approve
Okay.
as proposed and presented.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right, just give me a moment while I write down these minutes. Okay, discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it, and the motion is approved. Okay. Done with that, okay. Next item of business is approval of the docket. Okay, where did I put it? My minutes are, here we go, okay. Right. Okay. This is the allowance of accounts payables for the city of Beech Grove, RDC claims. The front cover with our signature, which I have with me that was up here at the desk, it reads, we have examined the accounts payable vouchers listed on the foregoing register of accounts payable vouchers consisting of one page. Except for accounts payables not allowed as shown on the register, such accounts payables are hereby allowed in the total amount of $557.10. All of you should have before you the second page, which is the accounts payable register. There's one entry. This entry is to Lewis and Capps for professional services in the amount of $557.10. Lewis and Capps is our the firm that the city has contracted with that provides us with legal services. So that's it. Standard one. That's pretty light. One of the lightest I've seen. So is there a motion to approve this docket?
I do have a question about that.
Yes, sir.
I gave my things to David from last month. Did we have a list like that was broken down like X amount of time for email, X amount of time for call, or is that something else?
So those are the, if you're, like last time, you're thinking of the claims.
Okay, okay.
Yes, we usually get the claims, but they're usually delivered up here. So I will inquire about that and making sure that, I'm just gonna show you, like my binder, this is from January, like this, it's the bills.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
will make sure that we all get a copy, because it wasn't up here. I haven't gotten an email about them.
That had it all broken down.
Yes,
That
and
was
understand.
a lot easier to look at and understand.
Of course. Claims for members. All right, written down for the notes to follow up. Nonetheless, I will ask if there's a motion to approve this docket, and I will get those claims for folks. Well, I'm going to make that motion to approve the docket. Is there a second?
I'll second that one.
Okay. Bill Davis. Discussion. I hear no discussion. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it, and the motion is approved. Motion approved. All right. All right, I'm going to follow up this weekend on there. I got that note down, though. If you don't hear from me by Tuesday, please remind me, just to make sure we get that. Okay, I do have the one excuse me, I do have the one copy here. I'm going to send this down to Phil, find your name, sign on the line above your name. We'll pass that around, and then that will go over to the clerk treasurer to process as usual. Okay. Once we get that signed, then we'll go on to our next item of business, which will have a lot of explanation by me. Thank you. Here you go, David.
Thank you.
There, so we don't lose that. All right. Next item of business is a review of the RDC budget items and financials. As a reminder, or for David, if you recall looking at the video, starting, I think it was 2 years ago, but definitely last year, about every quarter, I like to produce a 4-page document on our budget items and our financials. Essentially, how much have we spent down our budget items, when we get our property tax revenue in, really it's end of June and end of December, what's that revenue look like, and then also look at the items that we put in reserve. So we know what our, the amount that's in our fund is currently available and unencumbered. So I like to go through that. I try to go through it every quarter at least. I think I did it 3 times last time. But I must say with a caveat, these are my numbers only, based on my calculations. I'm not perfect. I'm a lawyer, not an accountant. But with the information I have, I think it is pretty close. I try to account for things, but I had to go back through 2023, look through some stuff, make sure we got the numbers. But I just like to put that caveat out there. That is not stone, and I say that is accurate, but I can't guarantee 100%, obviously.
So do we have a treasurer's report?
Treasurer's report? No, we've never had. No,
I mean, shouldn't the treasurer's report be part of Robert's Rules of Orders in a common meeting like this?
I don't know. I don't know because I don't know what's in statute. The first thing I would always look to is statute.
Statutory offices are president, vice president, and secretary, and in terms of treasurer, that is the responsibility of clerk treasurer of the city.
Now, one thing I will say is that we have one fund. Just remember that, is that we have one fund. Money goes in, money goes out. So technically, it's one fund. This is how much bills have been taken out. This is how much that we have. But we do our budget differently, because I'd like to keep line items separate from requests that have come in. And so some of this is just internal tracking, which I like to keep track of because, you know, as President already said, as a member, I want to make sure that we're doing something that we, one, don't have the funds for. I just like to, you know, make sure we stay balanced on these things. So I usually
So
do
the
that.
city council treasurer is also the RDC treasurer.
By law,
Yeah.
yes.
The clerk treasurer that's
Yeah.
elected.
So, anyway, so I do this.
All right.
Okay, so it's 4 pages here. Just briefly, the 4 pages are a brief restatement of our budget plus the revenue that I project, and then as we do updates, the actual revenue that we have. That's page 1. Page 2 is the line items that we've budgeted, and then how we spent those down, if we've ever spent them down. Page 3 is the monthly account balances, so those are usually taken from, if I keep track, through the docket or through the clerk treasurer's report to the city council and tracking down that spend. And then the 4th page, which will be probably a more important page, that is what our RDC, I track our balance in the fund against unpaid expenses that we have encumbered towards a specific item, either under the budget or that we had a project that we passed by now more than ever written motion. So, the first page, which is the 2024 RDC budget, it is broken into 2 columns. The left column is the actual revenue minus the items that we budgeted for, and then what it would look like with an end balance. The right column is the projected. Right now, the projected one is where we would look at. That is because the actual revenue line, that is all projection. We haven't gained any revenue in 2024. Again, we will get our revenue at the end of June and at the end of December. And I just use last year's number because I'm not going to guess what our property taxes are. I'm going to assume that they're going to be the same as the previous year at a minimum, with property value still going up.
If not more.
If not more. But I like to keep it at a number that I know of that's from the past, and so that's what I usually like to stick with. But I will just note, in the future, when we review this in the summer and in the fall, that actual revenue line will change. It will change when we review this in July. It's probably when I definitely will do one once we get the spring property taxes in, so that will change. And I will tell you how it will change. When it changes in July, the actual revenue will be the actual amount that we got in revenue from spring property taxes and the amount that we got from the fall 2023 property taxes, which will be a projected number. It just, I'd like to use real numbers from the last time. I don't like to project out. I'm not well versed in it. So that number will change. Obviously, if we seem to see property taxes going down, that will require an evaluation of projects and everything. So, but based on just, I guess, what we didn't spend in 2023, we had a starting balance of $1,014,336.42. It's projected that I would assume at a minimum, we're going to pull in this year from property tax revenue $791,894. And then subtracting our 4 budget line items that were approved last year, which is RDC projects in the amount of $1,236,312. Road projects in the amount of $180,000. That's the community crossing matching grant. Professional services, if we were to spend down all $50,000 for attorney's fees, joining our membership in the Redevelopment Association of Indiana and whatnot, and then the additional projects or the infrastructure contingency, which was a possibility of, if the city goes after what is called a LEAR matching grant and phase 2 of the Greenway, if they request our assistance, that money's out there. If they don't request our assistance, it's just $250,000 to put towards a future project. If we were to spend all that down and just wipe out our budget, we would still have an ending balance of $89,918.42. But that, again, is contingent on what our property tax revenue would look like this year, and we probably should have some idea in July.
Question for you, Matt.
Yes.
Do we have any actual earmarked money coming out of that 1.2? I know we earmarked some stuff for the parks that fell through. I know the mayor kind of asked us to keep on a back burner
Yes.
some stuff. But as far as that $1.2 million figure, are any of those earmarks taken out of that, or is that raw money right?
Actually, yes, I'll just tell you from the budget. I want to make sure I actually got this right.
Because I don't remember.
Got it.
I don't remember at the end of last year anything that we officially earmarked money for.
I will get to this when we get in the 4th page, but I will answer your question right now, and I will correct a misstatement I had, because I had our actual past budget right in front of me. I should have just referred to it. So, in that future projects, that $1.2 million, there is set aside the $20,000 for the Lear grant. That's where that's coming out.
Okay.
So that $20,000 is reserved. In addition, the $103,000 for a drainage correction in our TIF area at 2nd and Bethel. That's where K&W Equipment Company moved over. And
I knew we had
that's
discussion. I
dedicated
didn't
over there.
know.
Yes, and I have that covered on page 4. That $250,000, the infrastructure contingency, that's actually for the roundabout, which was half of that, $125,000 for that 25th and Kirchman one, if the city requests our assistance. If the city requests our assistance, the other half, that other $125,000 was for the 2nd phase of the Greenway.
New Greenway,
Yes.
yep.
If not, that $250,000 just becomes future projects, and it could go towards something.
Okay.
And we will make a decision as we hear from the city, or if we don't hear from them, we get into the middle of the year, we got a project that's ready, we'll make a decision.
Okay.
On that one, because it's also listed for future RDC projects for that other use. But that's for the future. So, and I will reiterate this when we get to page 4. But going to page 2, which is RDC budget line item spend by month. So this is where,
Can I just ask one quick,
Yes.
before we go up page 1?
Yes.
So we have four different line items: RDC projects, road projects, professional fees, and infrastructure contingency. I'm just curious, why is road projects?
so road
what-
projects, so there are a number, under Mayor Buckley, he has, every time that I've been on here, he's come and asked for the RDC to assist in the Community Crossing Grant Fund. This is a fund that I believe they get from the state. The city pays a certain portion, and it assists with rehabilitating certain roads that are in the project. So I think we started with, starting with the 2023 budget, so what we did in 2022, I wanted to move that out of future projects and make it its own line item, because it was consistently asked for, and I wanted to spell that out so that everyone understood, okay, we're taking a portion of this revenue, we're putting it towards this thing. And I wanted to call that out for the public to know, and also for, frankly, our internal tracking purposes, that we made sure that, we're not, if things are coming in, we're not, again, overspending. That's just my big worry. is that
Okay.
We gotta, on RDC, I think on RDC fronts, we have $1 million. I still think it's a small pool, and so I'm always very mindful of making sure that we have money, that the money is there, and that we're not getting anywhere close to overspending it when we eventually get into a bigger redevelopment project. So that's starting in 2023's budget, and now this budget was moved out of here. Now, that was a Mayor Buckley ask. Could change in the future with new administration. We will find out in the fall when we do our budget. But I personally put that out there because I wanted it called out. The rest of the RDC agreed in those 2 years.
So
This
that
was
makes sense.
called
So
out.
road projects are in TIF zones.
Yes, they have to just, in order for us to pay, and Bob, you may want to step in.
Oh, hold on, wait a minute. Are you advising us right now?
This is our attorney.
I know, but can you go to the microphone so the whole public can hear what you have to say?
Infrastructure like roads are sewers, those kinds of things. If they are physically connected to a TIF zone, are they benefit or support a TIF zone? And I know the latter is kind of a gray thing, so some road projects would be appropriate, some road projects probably would not be appropriate. The redevelopment code is not clear on that. I mean, that's the statutory language. So,
Could you just repeat that? I didn't catch that one more time. Yeah, there was like 3 things there that had to connect to his TIF zone.
physically, in the TIF zone, physically connected are benefits or supports.
So if it touches a TIF zone or supports a TIF zone, And it falls in the TIF zone status?
Yes, just like a sewer line that went to a development that you were helping come in. It may not be in the whole line may not be in the TIF zone, but it's supporting, it's benefiting, or it's physically connected to.
Okay.
So, and that's not limited to roads. I mean, it could be some other sort of infrastructure that serves that purpose. So,
Okay. Thank
So,
you.
yes, so that's why that's called out there, because there's usually, it is generally community crossing grant, but, road project was an old line item from years ago, and so I just revived it because it's just easier to do that on an Excel sheet sometimes. But that's what that's for. But of course, the city has to bring it. I've not received word if that's been granted or whatnot. Usually, the mayor will come, they'll tell us we're doing this. It'll be coming. Your part is, well, they said it was 180,000. That's usually a third. I usually think it's a third, or half of the matching grant. I'm trying to remember from a couple months ago, but that's what that line is, nonetheless.
And I'm sorry, just one other thing. You had mentioned something, the Crossroads, is that what you called the Crossroad Grant?
Oh, community crossing grant.
Community Crossing
I believe
Grant.
is
Could you
what it's
explain what
called.
that is?
My understanding is that the community crossing grant is a grant, I think it may come from the Department of Transportation, the State Department of Transportation for local road improvements. I believe it is a matching grant, so the local entity puts up money, has to put up part of the cost, and then there's a matching grant. The State Department of Transportation will match that. That's my understanding. But city, I think it will go through city administration and the public works. So if you have any more questions on that one, talk with the mayor. They're more familiar with that. Rob, yes.
That's actually, I believe, an NDOT grant where you go around and you talk about the roads that are most need throughout your city. And they don't just give you all the money to redo your roads. Most of those grants are like a 25-75 or a 50-50 type. It's called a share grant. They don't just give you the money. You got to bring your money to the table as well. But it actually allows you to get more work done for your city, less out of your pocket.
Sure, yeah. Okay, yeah, thanks. That's great.
That's the extent of my knowledge.
It's free money without being completely free.
Yeah, right.
Yes.
That's probably the easiest.
It's matching in some
Yeah.
percentage.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes.
Like I said, it's usually broke down either a 50-50 or a 75-25 type deal, depending on the grant that it is.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. We're ready to go to the second page? Good. Okay, second page, which is titled RDC Budget Line Item Spend by Month. So essentially, I take the budget line items that we have, I break it down so we can track by month where the expenses have gone into, and we have a running total of what's the remaining budget there. So when we run out, we run out. So far, and this number is actually wrong because I didn't have a copy of our RDC docket with me. Not enough copies were printed. So unfortunately, again, I didn't claim accuracy. I used the number that was based on the reports of where our accounts were. We actually spent $965, so I will adjust that in my notes for next time. But that came out of professional fees, and so we only have professional fees that we paid for from in January. And so that is winding down. But as other things come in, and when the docket is approved, then I will, when I go to update this, oh wow. That spend will eventually hit zero if it ever does. So that's just that other one, but it gets filled in, so as I update that, we'll see different changes at the budget remaining. But just as a reminder, we have a budget, and my understanding is that since we passed that, and most likely with changes in law that now have taken effect, once we spend down that line item, we spend no more towards that. And I think these line items will become a little bit more particular based on the changes in law. Any questions on this, on the
Sorry,
second
that
page?
965 is what we approved last month.
965, yes, I did see that because it was in the minutes when I looked at it, so I will adjust. It's not 702, it was 965. I think it was the, our membership in RAI that didn't hit. Okay, if we're good here, we'll go to page 3. Page 3 is titled 2024 Beech Grove RDC Monthly Account Balances. This is just another way of keeping track of our fund that I found useful. Again, now it's inaccurate. It should be $965, so I will adjust that. But usually once a month, and I use the clerk treasurer's report that you get to the RDC monthly usually, or I will use our docket because our docket is what we spend. No other money gets spent without the approval of the docket. But I will show the total balance that's in the fund. Since we have one fund, I will total that once per month just to see where the total fund is. Again, I did think it's helpful to me because for whatever reason, I just have a thing about making sure that we never go below zero. Because we never can go below zero, but that's why I created that third page. Now, the last page, page 4, which I think is the most important page personally that I put together, because this shows, if I can find, fourth page, because this shows it essentially projects, this is where I do get into projections of what our account balances is and keeps track of all the things that we have slided off, or what I say put into reserve, because it hasn't been spent yet. It's been dedicated towards something. I will note that there's one thing that is here that I didn't keep track of just because it's buried in the September minutes. It's the amount of money that was reserved towards the statute project. So I need to go back to my minutes. I will add that on there, and I will send that to you all so you have an update on that.
Did you say statue?
There's a statute project. Check your September minutes. This is about when we get to the our next line item. A guy over here will speak for an update on that. But I will get you an update of this document showing that, just so that you know everything that has been voted to be kept in reserve. And I will have notes after I go through this. So the fourth page starts off with our current balance as of today. I use today as an example. Where the account balances is, that I know what they are. Then to your right is what is called unpaid expenses. These are things that have been reserved out, whether they're different line items in the budget, or there are specific projects that pay out of that $1.2 million project fund. They are as follows. The first one is professional services, which is at $49,298. That'll be updated. That's the amount, the $50,000 that we use to pay legal fees, our RAI membership. But again, that number was inaccurate, so I'm going to update that to reflect that it's actually $50,000 minus $965,000. So that's just one item I keep there. Line item number 2 is something that we've had for at least since 22. That is the phase 2 of the Greenway design cost. Now, we started paying design cost when phase 2 was starting to get planned and worked on. But I will tell you is that I've not received an invoice, and you can look at our dockets for the last half of 2023, and here, we have not gotten an invoice to pay this, and we still have an item on this. So, this gets to my point of, some of these items are a little bit old, or we get updates on, maybe it's a project that we don't need to participate in as much anymore, or that is frankly dead, say it like that, and that we have the power at a meeting, we could do a written motion, put up a vote, and essentially unlock those dollars. Essentially erase it from this line, it's in the fund, it's unencumbered, it can be used towards something else.
This
So-
is phase 2 of what?
Phase 2 of the Greenway.
Of the Greenway,
So
okay.
this is the part of the Greenway that's going to be on the other side of Emerson, that's going around
The school
the school.
campus.
Okay, so I thought that was phase 3.
That is phase 2, as I understand it. They've told me it is phase 2, and that's, so yeah, so that's design cost, and from there, but we have not gotten an invoice in some time on that. The third line item is the
Do
16th.
we have a contract with someone to do that work?
Yes, that would, not us, the city has a contract with it, they ask us to pay a portion of the bill. I think the planning, who does the planning for that? Crossroads Engineering over on the circle. Thank you, Bob.
Okay, and so it's above $50,000, so
Yes.
that has to be voted on?
It has been voted on.
It has been voted on?
Yes.
Oh, okay, and it been voted on and approved?
Yes, been voted on and approved. I think this goes back to 2020, I think it goes back to 2022, because we paid invoices in, I know in 22 and parts of 23, but we haven't got an invoice, I think in the last 6 months, to tell you the truth. just remembering what my dockets are. I haven't seen anything, and I haven't adjusted this number in
It was at least
some months.
22, if not early 23, because from the school side, we haven't heard anything
Yeah,
yet.
so, yeah, so, I mean,
There's
if
no
that's,
design happening, I mean, right?
I'm sorry?
I mean, there's no design services happening, maybe, or is it, do we pay them the same, is it a contract, we pay them a fee every month, or are we paying them based on services rendered?
sign costs.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes, my other binder's at home. I'm gonna write down that note and get back to you on that one, because I'm pretty I know we had a written motion on this. I gotta dig it up from 22. Let me see what that was, on this. I just know that I was aware that they were posted, that it was just being done monthly, and that, so we're spending down equal parts monthly. That's what I recall, and I'm just saying that's what I recall. I'm gonna get that, find that for you so I can be more clear and see what we had in writing. But I haven't seen anything in quite some time. So if the stuff is done, it's not needed anymore, well, this can go to better use, is
Yeah,
what I'm
right.
saying.
Yeah, I'm
Something that we
surprised it's
can
still open
possibly do.
because
But let me find
We
the,
had some questions from the school side, areas they were hitting our campus, and some requests as far as kind of the blackout screening being used on fences so you weren't seeing our students and whatnot. And all of that was agreed on a long time ago. So I'm not sure what all that got left.
I don't know. I know the project's ongoing. The thing is being built, but let me get you, find out the motion that we did to put up to spend on this thing, and if we have any follow-up questions, we can try and get answers from those who have the knowledge of this and figure this out. But, I mean, if design costs are done, we have other things to worry about, obviously, for where $60,000 can go into. The next item, number 3, is what was called the 16th and Detroit Land Acquisition Reserve. So this is from last year. The Parks Board had been looking into acquiring the land at 16th and Detroit that's owned by Holy Name, potentially acquiring that for the city to turn it into a new park. There were, both the city and the RDC last year paid for appraisers. I did learn from the mayor that he's going to talk to Holy Name. There hasn't been any word about if they like the appraisals or not. But nonetheless, if we don't see any action on this, I say in the next couple months, the Holy Name wants different money, which they're entitled to. They want to go with someone else. Then again, we can close out this thing and we can remove it. But right now, I don't have any more information other than the appraisals were issued
There was
I will hopefully hear
discussion
something.
at the Parks Board last night.
There was, okay.
That they actually wanted, I think, 200,000 or something
Okay.
like that, not more than the appraisal, and we can only pay
For the-
what it's
yes.
appraised at.
Yeah.
And then you've got another 500,000, whatever, to develop after that.
Sure.
So
So-
if that's a no-go, this money goes
Yes.
back into just.
I will personally bring a motion I won't use the term unlock in the motion, but that's the best way I can come up at this present moment in time to unlock
So
it.
it's committed, but we just have to make a motion to
To
uncommit
uncommit
it,
it.
basically.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, basically, everything's earmarked right now. We haven't spent,
Yes.
and if I'm wrong, Matthew, correct me, we haven't spent any of this money. It's just been earmarked in past votes that if it does come to fruition, then we are obligated, or not we, you are obligated to honor that previous vote.
Yes.
But as of right now, all that money is still in our account, or your account, and it's just been voted on and earmarked if needed for that future project.
Yes.
So each of these line items have been voted on already by the RDC previously?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. These are all voted on.
This was, most of them were all last year.
I don't have the authority to reserve anything. I won a majority. I'm not, we,
Yeah, I think
votes
that's,
of 3 or
that might
more.
be the confusing factor, is that that money's not gone, it's still there, but we had, or again, it has been approved to be used for these projects through votes long before you guys.
Yeah. Think of like, put in a box? I want to say put aside, but I don't, yeah, but put aside. The money's there, it hasn't been spent. I will also just add on to Rob's comments on here, anything that's in reserve that wasn't already approved in the budget, like the 16th in Detroit, like if we were going to spend that, there would be another motion to actually spend that. We have just reserved it, but if Totally name said, yeah, buy this and everything, there would be another motion to actually approve spending the money, not to mention, this goes on the docket, there will be a third time, actually spend the money, approve that, so it can be, the checks can be written and everything. But so far, I don't know where this is, and we won't wait forever on this, because we have, again, I can't stress this enough, other things to do. And other things may come up.
And the RDC has the ability to purchase land.
We do have the ability to purchase land. We also, I believe, and this has been done in the past, we also can assist the city if they purchase the land, and so we can
So the
take part of the
R,
cost and pay them.
so who owns the land?
So the land is currently owned by Holy
No,
Tree.
no, I mean, who would own it?
Who would own the land?
If the RDC gave
Don't-
$139,000, who owns the land?
Who would own the land? I don't know, but if it's going to become a park,
Thanks to city.
probably would belong to the city and the Parks Department.
Who owns
'Cause we
the
don't.
parking lot? We bought the parking lot for the new police station.
Well, that's the police station. We assisted the city
Right.
in purchasing that. That is what the motion was, because we gave the money, we paid the city, and reimbursed the city, because they purchased it. But we assisted with it because it was public safety that touched a TIF area. Building a new police station, better resources for cops, public safety is one of our mandates.
Okay, so the police station is in a TIF zone.
No, it's not in a TIF zone, it supports the TIF zone, because it's public safety, so it supports everyone in the city, including our areas of the TIF.
Okay.
Right, Bob? I want to make sure I'm not speaking out of turn, but it supports. It's not in a TIF zone at this present time, but it supports
Basically the
our
same.
TIFs areas because
Okay.
new police station, cops are closer, yada, yada, yada. Okay. All right. So anyway, so the rest of the line items, and I will go through each of them, are what are in the budget. So they've been reserved. If it does get done, we usually get a heads up. It'll be on there. It'll be in our docket. It'll be in the claims forms and everything. And so
Yeah.
that's how we approve it. The first one is the $20,000 for the Lear matching grant. The next line item is the $103,000 for the fixing the drainage issue at Second and Bethel, which is in our TIF area, and touch and connects is inside and connects to our TIF area. If I being very specific based on where the map and the TIF area is. You got $125,000 for the second phase of the Greenway, if requested.
I'm sorry, just on
Yes,
the
sir.
last one, the Second and Bethel, there's not a TIF zone there at Second and Bethel, correct?
There is.
There's a TIF building.
Well, the parcels are, so it is a TIF.
There is a single.
I'll use TIF area, that's just the legal.
According to the map, it says 201 South Bethel is the TIF zone. That's that property, 201.
Zone, yes, but it is TIF, so it is, and we TIFed it. I think that's what I have for you on that one.
Okay.
But yes, but the drainage issue connects into the TIF area and affects them, and so I don't want to make sure that investment, stays up, because that was I think it was a good investment,
And,
especially for that area.
and this $103,000 is separate from the 105 or 20 or whatever, 120 that we gave to the company there, right?
Correct. This is a
This is
different.
another
line item.
$100,000.
Just said yes, for the city to make repairs to that drainage
Okay?
that's outside their area.
Okay.
It's a different thing. That's, again, that's in the budget, comes out of the projects one, that 1.2 million, that has been specifically set aside in the budget. Okay, then there's the second phase of the Greenway, the $125,000, as Amy mentioned, but there's brackets around here if requested. If it is not requested, or we get word that the city won't request it, we will become a future project. I will erase it from here, and we can go into something else.
And that's separate from the other line item for
Yes.
the second phase. This is the actual, wow. I
Construction?
totally- Yes, the actual construction of that greenway. The first part would be for the design that they haven't billed us for in months. And then this 125 would be the RDC assisting in actually paying for the construction of it to be done.
Yeah, and the other 125 for the roundabout, again, if requested, and then there's that 180,000 for the road project, that's that other line item. The last line is the unencumbered balance. That is the current balance. If everything were spent on, which won't happen. I've never seen it happen. But that unencumbered balance is $210,867.80. Obviously, revenue will come in July and December, so that number goes up. But again, these unpaid expenses that are set aside, some are going to go away. We'll probably unlock them. I can foresee that. And some of them will get paid over the course of this year. And so that unencumbered balance will go up. But currently, right now, this is how the math works. This is the current moment in time of what that unencumbered balance is. But when more revenue comes in July, that goes up because there's more revenue and it's not dedicated towards anything. And then if we get rid of one of these unpaid expenses lines, we move it, saying, hey, we're not going to do this anymore on this one. It can go to somewhere else. That line gets removed from here and then raises that unencumbered balance. That makes sense? I think that made sense to me. But.
Yeah. I just have one last question. I'm sorry. What is a layer matching grant?
Layer, that is a great question. I thought someone would ask that. But unfortunately, I didn't think of it after I left the house today, of that question.
But somehow it's been voted on, and it's in the
It's in the budget,
but
yes.
we don't know what it is.
No, I know what it is. I just don't know what it is right now. I don't remember off the top of my head. It's in my notes.
Does
from my
anybody
previous budget.
here know what it is? Anybody?
Looking for you right now.
I know it's a grant for streams, something like that. I don't want to speak out of turn. Hold on.
Did you say streaming?
No, streams.
Streams.
Water. And drains. Let me see what I can
That is
find.
the Lake and River Enhancement. Oh, the Lair grant, I believe, is what they're using to reinforce the creek beds at Sarah T. Is that not correct?
Yes, I think so.
This is why you have me, Matthew.
Yes, thank you. Okay, let me write that down. Here's what I'm gonna ask. Because I had some notes that was during the budget session from Mayor Buckley. I'm gonna ask city administration to explain that and what they're using that for. I believe you're correct.
I think
but I
we're
wanna make
assisting
sure
the
that we're
Parks
correct.
Department in that, or, sorry, again, you guys are assisting the Parks Department in that because of the corrosion of the creek beds through Sarah T.
Okay, yes, I recall that, yes, because what I'm remembering is it 17th? It's not 17th, 13th. That's what I'm picturing when I think of this.
I
what Buckley
think it's
described.
basically the north end of the park, and as it goes through past Littles and PNC-ish area.
Yep. But nonetheless, I'm going to ask city administration about this. Just want to make sure that it gets properly described by the right people, so that you have as much information to answer that particular question.
And
So I've written that down.
that also would be a shared grant, which is why the RDC/city is putting up the money, because they're coming in saying, we are going to give you X amount of dollars. I would imagine, since that number's so round at 20,000, that might be an 80-20 grant. So we're probably getting a total of $100,000 worth of work done for $20,000. And again, that's a guess on my part, just by the fact that it's 20,000.
Okay.
But that's all I have. I am going to update this. I will send this all to you with the updated numbers, just so that, since I remember what was in the document and everything, so you have this. But we will do this again by July at the very least. We'll do it by July once we have the property tax revenue and everything. I know we'll do at least one by then. We may do one in the spring, but definitely by July. Okay. So I hope this is insightful. Again, accuracy, what it is, again, and I know this is a joke, but I am a lawyer. I'm not a mathematician. That's my brother. He's the one with the math degree. He's the one who does actuary stuff. But I will update the right number so you have that for your records. But thank you for indulging me in all of this. There are some questions here, and David, I want to make sure my notes are right, and Phil, making sure that we have everything before you leave tonight,
Okay.
so after that meeting. But yeah, so we have that there. Okay, we move on to our next item of business. For the review of the process to issue an RFP for rewriting and updating the redevelopment plan. So Bob, I'm going to ask you to come up here and just describe what would be the process for us to, one, write and issue an RFP, going all the way through, we get submissions, and how we would review those submissions in a public setting, and vote on those. And this is all going towards, we need to rewrite our redevelopment plan. It needs to be updated. Technically, it's an amendment, but I believe we have to rewrite everything, because again, don't have the full final copy. I still haven't found one yet, and it's dated back to 2008. I personally believe we may have to engage a vendor if we can afford it. Obviously, everyone costs money to hire a professional. And I think the only way I know about that is issuing an RFP, so we can get multiple bids from vendors.
Well,
we can review those things.
Actually,
So, Bob.
because it's professionals, not contractors, it's not actually a request for a proposal in the sense of a bid,
Okay.
but a request for qualifications where we seek out people that are experts in this kind of professional service to give their qualifications, and then we interview them, and then we talk about price. And obviously, you want somebody qualified, but you don't want to pay way too much. Aaron and I had a discussion with the attorney for AIM, Advancing Indiana Municipalities, on Tuesday, and we discussed, the needs of Beech Grove to either create a new redevelopment plan or substantially amend this old 2008 plan. And she gave us some good ideas. She also indicated a person that works with cities of our size that we might want to reach out to. She saw it as a 2 or 3 part process. You select somebody by letting the people that do this kind of work know the interest. You interview them, decide whether they're appropriate for employment to help us do this. We also, I talked with Mike Kleinpeter, who does the grant applications for the city, has done them for a number of years. And Mike says that there's a grant that OCRA, Indiana Office of Community and Rural Affairs, I believe, will give up to $50,000 towards this kind of paying these kind of professionals. We tried to set up a meeting before this meeting with Mike and the mayor and Matthew. We had some schedule conflicts, and it looks like we're going to be able to meet with him possibly on the 20th. But in any case, I gave to Matthew, and I don't know if you passed this out.
Everyone has this
Yeah.
right here?
This is a 3-page document I just got this afternoon from Mike Kleinpeter. He said this is the minimum grant plan requirements. One of the keys of this, he says, is that the commission will have to have at least 3 people that are a scoring committee. So a request for qualifications goes out, it's published, people are supposed to submit, 30 days from that publication, their qualifications, and then they're scored by this committee based on experience and with different sorts of criteria. And then after you decide that you want to select someone, then you start talking about price. And you can negotiate at that point because it's not a bid. But an actual contract, but unsigned, has to be a part of the grant application.
Okay.
So you got to get at least to the stage that if the grant is awarded, this is who we're going to hire and this is what the contract will look like. Mike, I'm sure, is willing to come and make a presentation on this. I haven't had time to digest all this because I just got it late this afternoon from him. And then his help would come out of that grant. And I think he said that the fees and related to preparing the grant are something like $7,000. Out of that, we would probably end up paying, well, that would be what we would probably end up paying. In other words, I think it's an 80-20 sort of grant. But there'd be about $42,000 that would be left for professionals that might be employed to help us go through the redevelopment plan development process. We got a quote back in 2021. It was pretty hefty. It was $75,000 at that time. It was a lady that had worked as an attorney for the Redevelopment Association of Indiana and went out on her own. She did a workshop for us. It was a very good workshop, but she wanted to involve a lot of professionals, and some of them I didn't think for a community our size, we probably needed, like a traffic study. I mean, there's not much option in Beech Grove in terms of traffic. There's some other studies. She wanted to bring in a public relations guy who would sort of walk the community through, because for these kind of plans, you do have to have quite a bit of community input. But I think that's something that we could handle without a PR representative. But her quote was very high. So, and again, it's not a bid, and so we can do it pretty much how we want to do it. Except if we want the grant, you've got to follow the grant requirements.
Got it.
I mean, if we wanted to, we could just go to somebody and say, will you do this and bring on whoever you need, and we won't pay you more than X. The grant's a little more, conditions. I think the earliest we could get money from the grant, I think Mike said, was probably August if we apply by April. But again, we haven't had a chance to meet with him. We've only.
Yeah, but in order to apply, we have to essentially find the person?
No.
No. Oh, okay, we could just start to apply for it.
Well, yes, we would essentially have to find the person, but not sign a contract.
Got it. Okay. All right, so there's grants there, hire the person. Okay, all right, so it's essentially, you're telling me it's essentially an employee on contract, answerable to us, but.
Independent contractor.
Independent contractor. got it.
Professional, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Like Mike, like Jeff Peters.
Sure. Okay,
And Jeff is one of those professionals getting paid out of that $50,000
yeah,
as well.
okay.
The actual grant is for economic development plans, you will note. And we might have to add some additional things beyond what Okra wants to see, because it's aiming at an economic development plan. I would say 75% of your redevelopment plan is economically oriented, but some of it is, amenities, lifestyle, sorts of things.
Okay. Questions?
So we would do the plan to get the grant.
No, we don't do the plan to get the grant, but we would find the person that we want to employ, have a contract proposal that both parties say they will sign if the grant money is awarded.
But we don't, I'm a little confused by reading this, because it gives you.
Yeah, no, we won't have obviously, the whole purpose is to get help on the plan, so we
Yeah.
wouldn't have the plan, but we would have to say, this is the purpose and the scope, those kinds of things, but not
So it's just.
Not
we
the
got to have an
detail.
outline of the plan
Yes,
that we
yes,
want to do with this.
yes.
Say this is what, but it has to follow what their
Yeah.
minimum requirements here.
Yes.
To get their money.
That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And how much money is it coming from them? Do we?
50,000,
50,000
I believe.
minus the
He's-
7.
He said we'd probably have 42,000 left
Okay.
after the cost of doing the grant application.
Okay. Well, I've never done this before, so I'm a little bit confused. I just know that we have to move one step at a time. So I'm going to say this: I want everyone to read this, study this, and have any questions, please email Bob. Let him know. I'm going to be part of the meeting on the 20th. Take some notes. I'll have something hopefully for the March meeting. We're trying to remember all my months here on seeing what is good here. I guess to continue the next thing, I don't know if we'll be ready to issue a request for qualifications because that requires something to write. We're all agree with. We're going to vote. So I really don't know if we'll have anything by April. But I would like for March for us to start looking at the key things that we need to decide amongst ourselves what we're looking for in that person to help us with rewriting this plan, as well as if we need to start discussing broad-based items of what we want to do with the plan. I would assume beyond saying rewrite the entire thing, so that's updated for today. So I'm going to ask Bob to prepare for our March meeting. What are the questions that we need to discuss amongst ourselves and give to you or whoever to write the request for qualifications?
And
put
part of
that out
that
to the
might
highest
be
bidder.
whether you want to engage Mike Peters to help develop all of that, because his
I will
his
talk, I
whole,
want him at the March meeting, but we'll talk in March, but yes, I plan on, we'll make sure we will ask him, but I want him to come here and speak with us and have all of our members ask questions about that as well. But I think March, we're not gonna be able to vote on anything. I don't foresee that personally. One, because I don't know what to write as of yet. I don't have that in my frame of mind. So I think next month we'll be gathering more information, but with hopes of being able to draft something to move forward with hiring that professional so that we can get the ball rolling on this. So Mike, yes, bring him, and we'll ask him to be here to address us in March. But do bring us also things about that we need to discuss about putting out that request.
okay. And I would like to ask my colleague Aaron Small if he thinks I forgot anything, and based on our conversation with the attorney from AIM.
What's the April deadline that,
I don't know the date in April.
because
We'll know after the 20th.
I was gonna say you might have to move a little quicker on that timeline to hit that April
Yeah, I know.
deadline, if nothing else, maybe vote to, I don't know, explore deeper, or at least get something on record to where if you guys agree and you've only got a couple days left before the deadline to get that in, you might need, I'm sorry?
Yeah, it'll take time to develop that grant for sure. I mean, 'cause they're asking for quite
Yeah.
a bit.
So,
We'll know more after the 20th
of this month?
Yes.
when we talk with.
Okay. So
Yeah,
yeah, you might have to do some kind of an action in March so they can do what they need to do so you guys can hit your April deadline, is all I'm saying.
Yes, I agree. I just don't know if we'll be able to hit at this time. But Aaron, is there anything else to add on this?
I think the one thing I would add is that the AIM attorney did give us at least one person we could talk to now who I believe is qualified to do the RFQ. And so, one thing with an RFQ, you do need to publish it, but you can also reach out to people individually if you want to. And so we could reach out to someone just to maybe gauge interest and see if he would be willing to come and speak with you as well.
Oh, but add them on to the March meeting. That's great because I don't know I would like to learn. I don't know anything about this. So if there's that professional out there, they're willing to come and talk to us, I think that'd be a benefit for everyone. So I want to make sure that we do this right and hire the right person at the, appropriate value that we can spend and everything. So yeah, that'd be great. If you know that person, they're willing to come, that'll be, our third Thursday of the month, 7 p.m.
Okay. I mean, I don't know him.
We don't know him.
We'll reach out, but we will reach out to him and gauge his interest and see if he'd be interested in coming to speak with us.
Yeah. If you could just if they're agreed, I just need to answer by. I'd like to add them specifically to the agenda so we can know a week before Thursday, because that's when I put out the draft agenda to folks to review, see if they want to add on. So
14th.
I'll tell you, 14th. So if we can know by March 14th.
Okay. I mean, we can reach out to him this next week and see what he has to say.
Okay. Any further questions before we move off of this topic?
So our first step is we have to, if we want to go the grant route, is to propose somebody to these guys to help us write that grant.
We would need to, yes, essentially, we need to be able to say, we are prepared to go into a contract with this person and to help fund that. But that's gonna take some time. Again, we have to
And
put that out
has to
there.
get
do
their
it.
approval for us
And they have to
move
approve it, we
forward.
get the grants, yeah.
And we can move forward with actually
Hire a person, yes.
doing
Yes.
the plan and all that.
Doing the plan, having the person write that, engage the public, yeah. So this is a marathon, I will say this is a marathon. I expected this was gonna take more than a year. I just hope it's not too long, more than a year and everything, but yes, that's on there, but.
We could go without the grant route, but
We
that
could
would
go
be
without,
silly.
yeah,
That
that
would
would
be
be silly,
quicker.
yes.
So
I just don't like the
would
deadline, but I
all-
don't like feeling rushed. I don't wanna do the rush part, we hire the wrong person.
It
or
would
anything,
just
so I wanna
say
do
it'd be
this right.
quicker. Like, oh, yeah, it makes sense, I guess, but.
And the same person that the AIM attorney suggested could be the person selected through the grant and paid for by the grant as well.
Excuse me. We've been here. Okay. Good, all right. Thank you all. Our last item of business that's on here, I'm gonna call up Guy about the statue project update. Guy, we have new members here, so they may not be as familiar with the project, so if you want to describe that as well. And then I have one item on this that I want to make sure members are aware of on this. But Guy, whenever you're ready, step over to the microphone and the floor will be yours.
I've got a couple.
That's my card. So I just know that Steve McQueen was from here, and I've been doing statues with Sincaris Bronze Art Foundry, and I'm
Could you go to the
actually-
microphone?
I'm actually
Could-
the.
Oh, Guy, can you step to the microphone, please?
Oh,
Thank you.
Sorry. I'm employed at Sincaris also. I've retired from there 5 years ago, and they've asked me to come back because they're so swamped. People are making sculptures all over the place. But anyway, so a year and a half I started on this, and I didn't know if I could do Steve McQueen's face, and I did it. So I did 2 busts, and then we were going to go ahead and try to figure out, it's all in the proposal stage, isn't that correct? I made the proposal.
Yes, the proposal's been made, but there has been, and this is the last point we'll get to, there's been no decision on where to place that. I've not received anything from city administration
And then
anything.
you had the mock contract.
We have, I have it's titled as an invoice, we're talking about this?
That invoice is just for what I've already done.
Yes, okay,
If we move on.
yes.
The other thing was in Governor Holcomb's farewell speech, he was saying that there is lily endowments that are coming out big time. So, like you were saying, it would be a share thing. But we're also looking at the roundabout and the people that donated too. So it's kind of like, we were thinking we wanted him on a motorcycle, but it's just going to be pretty expensive. But even the federal grant, if you look it up, they will match up to $150,000. So, I mean, there's all these different areas we could be tapping in. So, like we were just discussing how the thing that kind of justifies where you guys are at is the James Dean in Fairmount, because they did just a little bitty bust of him, but they have a big festival, and it brings in tons of money into this area, and then the tourism that would cause. So I think the focus should be to put it someplace. I was thinking out here, if we had to, just do him leaning somewhere, but to actually put it closer to where people are actually eating and hanging out and bringing people down into the main area. And if you look at those corners, because now you've got the parking the way it goes like this, there's a nice chunk there, and it wouldn't take me much to put the armature in the ground, it's stainless steel, and it would hold him. He would be somewhere about 8 or 9 feet tall. So that's just where we're at. So I wasn't really here when you guys had that last meeting, and so you just gotta kind of tell me.
So, I don't have any instructions on this in the end, that the city has to place it. So I will say this, just because I was handed this invoice last month that we can't pay right now. I'm trying to find it in my minutes, but as I recall, in the September meeting, I looked at this last month, the vote was that, I'm sorry, I lost my frame. I lost what I was saying. Give me a minute to rethink it. The motion had 2 parts. One is that we had to change the redevelopment plan to add cultural amenities, that redevelopment can cover cultural amenities. We had to add that into our redevelopment plan. We're not amending our redevelopment plan at this time. We are, as you've heard from the big conversation, we are going to rewrite it, but that'll take some time. The second part of it was that the city had to choose on city property where would this go. I've not received any word from that at this time, and in the end, it is the city that will choose this. As a redevelopment commission, we just, if it goes towards redevelopment, helps to the benefit of our city, we can put money towards that. I just don't know where we are on this one.
Right.
That has not been communicated to me. That's just, I just don't know where we are. That would be a call of other people in city administration, not myself. But that's where we are at this time. That's why that money's out there, but it's not. We're not close to where the requirements have been met to pay that amount that has been put in reserve by us.
Okay. Well, and another thing, when I was at PNC, I bumped into a guy from the city council, and he said a friend of his is actually going to build a bar eatery and with Steve McQueen theme.
Oh.
I think his name's Jim. I gave him my card, and he said he would talk, go talk, tell everybody what's going on and stuff. But that might be somebody find out what that is, because I mean, he may want it
Okay.
for his outside his bar, and that would make it really easy.
5th and Main. So I believe at 5th and Main, they do have a painting of Steve McQueen in there on the wall.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't look like Steve McQueen though.
Yeah.
It looks like James Colburn or something. Sorry.
That's what they say it is.
Okay.
Yeah. It's okay. But this looks like Steve McQueen, and it's just like I said, I'm just in there making. We just did the basketball players for Milan.
Oh.
For the Hickory.
Really?
And it was dedicated and everything. There's 5 of them. They were all like Steve. They're 8, 9 feet tall.
Oh.
And it's where they got the tape measure, and they're at Butler, Hinkle, and they're out. Rim is still the same size, even though you're in this big room. So, we did the Larry Bird, all the Big Red Machine, Tommy Tashia, and Bill Wolf, all the ones out there at Terre Haute, and just, I mean, we're casting all over. I've been casting all my life, Texas, everywhere. So my credentials are there. I'm here for your service. I'm just planting seeds. But I have someone that's looking into writing the grants to do through the state.
Okay.
What Governor Holcomb, for Eli Lilly, and see if maybe they will. And then I know around the roundabout, it says who donated the money. So I'm gonna reach out to them and try to see, if they have any interest. I went to the guy at Bomar Industries right there. It's right across the street.
Yep.
And I looked at his place and everything, and he said he can't do anything like this, but that he said all that money was donated for that project, and I think it was a lot of money. So, anyway.
All right.
Would this be better to go through the council than us? For you to make a proposal?
I have.
Same thing to the council?
I have.
You have been there?
I have
Okay.
been there. It was a year and a half ago, though.
Okay. Well, there's a whole new council. I mean, you might.
I need to go, yeah, I'll find out.
Again, because what you said about amending
Yes.
I'm kind of iffy on that, because it's not bringing in any kind of
Yes.
tax base or anything.
Understood. I know. And
It's a whole new
yeah,
council.
doing a-
You might
So, I'm not gonna touch it now.
get a hold of them and see if you can get on the thing for next month.
Okay.
It's a great idea. I love it.
So the document that we have in front of us, is
It's
this?
for your edification. It was shared with me. I want to make sure you have it, but we're not voting to spend any money.
No, all I'm asking is this a proposal or an invoice?
It says invoice. There was a proposal.
The
I think-
proposal, I put the proposal forward, but then this invoice was to get me started,
Got it. Okay.
because I've already done this much work.
Yep.
And that's not very much for what was done.
So
For a bust.
does this $15,000 represent the work that you've?
That I put into this, the year of my spare time working on it in my studio.
So we are being charged $15,000?
No.
No, we're not.
I did it just, and I got permission from Steve McQueen's son, Chad, and he gave us 2 hearts. And they are remaking Bullet right now. Spielberg and Chad McQueen are remaking the movie Bullet with Bradley Cooper. And so there's going to be a big boom, Steve McQueen boom here soon. We can invite Sheryl Crow, too, to come and sing Steve McQueen, that song. Have you ever heard it?
I think you should share it for us just to give us information about this. But yeah, we're not.
Yes.
We're not paying anything right now. We're not anywhere near that authority to do.
Okay, I just.
Right,
think
it
this-
has to be approved by the city council and, yeah, the plan, the proposal.
The proposal itself, yes, someone else has to approve the proposal of where it would go and everything. Yes, the city has to work on that, however that's.
Right,
going
and
to be.
then
Yes,
the
that's one thing.
invoice was if you guys want to move forward, so.
Yes, we just don't have the ability to, the RDC,
Right.
does not have the ability to do that right now.
Right.
But I think Phil, you want to talk, Phil made an excellent point, go to the city councils, see what they think about this, since there's newer members on there. I think that would be your next thing.
Okay,
To contact the mayor, contact the, who's our pro tem?
Chris Duffer.
Councilman Duffer, who's the pro tem as well, about getting on the agenda, talking with them and the folks.
because they
I
have to,
recommend
they
looking
have
at
to
each and every
approve
member.
it. They have to approve it before anything can go forward.
Yes, at least the placement. We don't have any control over the placement. That's all the city. So
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
I can have the sculpture done,
Yeah.
and then we could
It's the
put
same
it
thing.
yeah,
someplace.
I talk with the city, talk with the mayor, talk with the city council members.
Okay, and then
Back going forward with that.
the mock contract I gave you is all negotiable, but I believe we gave you one, didn't I?
Can you send it? You have our email the RDC with that again, just so we all have clean copies. We have newer members. I unfortunately don't recall that because
Okay.
we've been talking about this for some time. But if you have that document in your computer, send it to us. We'll add it onto our record. Okay.
Okay, and the other thing, I used to work for RPM Technologies, and the guys there, they're telling me to write the grant, instead of hiring someone, you can use AI, and it does it. So if you guys are struggling there, I suggest you look at that, because it really, says what you're trying to say. And I'm an artist, I'm not a poet, or like your brother's the accountant, I'm not an eloquent speaker.
Oh, I appreciate that. I thank you for coming, guy, giving us an update and everything. And of course, he does beautiful sculptures and everything. So if you ever want to see more,
He's
so
been a
talk
few
to
times
Guy.
showing us his
Okay.
castings and whatnot.
Yeah.
And Guy, you may email them that grant information and another little reminder about the lilies. And if you have any insight from somebody of how to get that rolling, because anything that can be done to help the city make this project come to life, it's probably going to be the best thing for it.
Right. That's fine. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
One more item of business that's just other business, something I just remembered for our newer members. Have you supplied with the uniform conflict of interest disclosure statement? Okay, so I'm gonna give you all copies of this. I will just say this, when I was a new member, I had to fill this out and everything and get it signed by my appointment authority. And then, it's brought back here, every member looks at it, we do a vote by resolution, which just says, hey, we reviewed it, everything looks good, and then we signed it. This resolution, I keep let me see, I do 3 copies. Goes to the clerk treasurer to, I think they put the resolution up on the gateway. The secretary keeps a copy for those minutes. I think we give a copy to our attorney. Yes, state board, yes. So here's that statement for here. I would just say, look it over, fill it out, and then, get there's one area where it says your appointment authority has to sign it, city council members. That's usually been the pro tem. The pro tem that, Bobby Ferguson was the one who signed mine when I first joined, so he'll have to sign that particular area. Jenny, the mayor, will sign off on yours. Just bring that back next month. I already have the resolutions reserved as 1, 2, and 3 for each of you. We'll review them. We'll pass this resolution, and get this resolution, online saying that's been passed and everything, and we'll get that particular thing done. So, if you have any questions,
Do all 5 of us have to sign this?
we signed the resolution. You signed this. So I find that we've all had to fill it out when we first joined, and then that was it. I've never had to do one since then.
So we all have a conflict of interest form at some
Yes,
point.
mine is from back then.
And
Luckily,
it-
it hasn't changed because
Yeah.
I've worked for the same person
That's
since
okay.
I've been here. But yes,
Okay.
there's one that's on with State Board of Accounts. It's all filed there and everything. So do take a look at that and everything, and we'll revisit that next month. Just bring it here, and we'll get that through at the next time of business. So, public comment. Comment from our members this evening? I would say, yes, Phil.
I do have a question back to
Yes.
the budget thing. You guys, they passed a resolution last year, 2023-03, that involved the mayor being allowed to put in requests.
Sure. Yes, I'm following you now.
A little confusing with that. David had brought it up before.
Yes.
To me, it says, with your permission, the
Yes.
president of the commission, he's exempt from the requirements of the resolution as long as the funding request is provided in writing. Well, that's what the resolution says anyway. So I'm a little confused what that.
Yes.
He can't just come in and spend money.
Oh, yeah, he can't come in
Yeah.
here and say, hey, I want you to pass something and spend $180,000 on this project.
So what is
It has
the
to be in
point
writing.
of this?
The point
Since
of
I
it-
wasn't here last year. I
Yes.
don't really understand what.
I will tell you that, so, because I drafted the resolution, the point was that if there was a project, a matter of redevelopment that had to move faster than normal, something that was of a higher importance, that had the backing of the city and hopefully our constituents, and it came from the mayor's office, that as long as it was in writing, so it gave us the information that we need, what's the purpose of that funding application, a substitute writing at the president's discretion, so the person in the president's chair could make that decision. Now, David has brought this up before, we have discussed it, and I've been mulling it over for the last couple months, and I'm thinking, and just based on how the resolution is written and how we have the application, I am planning on bringing a resolution soon, maybe not March, but definitely by April, to redo the resolution so we have the instructions. The resolution has the instructions, have it as a separate document, it's easier to amend, and I'm gonna pull that out there. We haven't used it before, no one's submitted us an application, so I think there are some good points that have been made and some that you're raising that will make everyone uniform. As an attorney, I like being uniform. So I think we'll remove that clause when I rewrite the
Theoretically,
resolution and
under
bring it to
that,
you.
if he just gives it to you and you can make the decision.
Well, he has to make the request, to me,
But we
I have to
wouldn't
grant
vote.
it, and then he brings that information.
We wouldn't vote on it.
No, unless you wanted to vote on it, of course, I'm quite amenable. Again, I like majority, to act on here, but I'm gonna say by April, I'm gonna bring that, we're gonna erase that. We're gonna make everyone uniform.
There's a little confusion.
No, I understand, and I know that's been raised by David and everything. I've been thinking about it, because we haven't used the application, let's put everyone on the application and everything. So I'm gonna redo that, but I am going to rewrite it so we have an instruction page that's essentially, the resolution has the instructions. We'll make it an instruction page. I'm gonna flip it around a little bit, so it'll be like a strike and replace. But it'll be the same instructions, but everyone will be uniform. So I'll remove that exception because I think some good points were raised, and because it's so new, I think we can change that right now. So, if not March, it'll be on the agenda in April. We will have that resolution. I will have that shared out. But that has been on my mind since conversations were raised. I thank you for raising it, and we'll get that work done. Okay? Any other public comments? Okay, hearing none. It's been a long meeting. I thank you all for your indulgence, but we've reached the end of our agenda. So is there a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Okay, is there a second?
A second.
Aye. All right, all those in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye. All those opposed? The ayes have it, and we are adjourned at 8:26 p.m. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.